I am Jeff Biggs, and I am the host of the Cowboys Squad Show, and I am ready for a new defensive coordinator for the Cowboys.
I am Marcus Mosher, and I am tired of the search being going on right now.
I am Iisha Morrison, and honestly, I just want them to make a good pick. And the longer that it's drawn out, makes me less confident that the pick's going to be good.
Glenn Stretch Smith, I'm all about patience in the D coordinator search because I have none in every other area of my life.
How about them Cowboys? It's the Cowboys Squad. Everything Dallas Cowboys every week. Covering all the big hits and game-changing plays from America's team the way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Get ready and squad up. It's the Cowboys Squad Show, starting now.
Yeah, welcome. As you know, the NFL's Final Four is all set, but as we just said, the Cowboys' search for a new defensive coordinator continues. The good news is we are back for another edition of the Cowboys Squad Show. Great to be with you on this Tuesday night, not Monday, but we'll get back on track with that next week. But always, we're going to start with a welcome to the co-host of the daily Locked On Cowboys podcast, Marcus Mosher. Good evening, Marcus. Former Cowboys coach, Glenn Stretch Smith, and she has so many shows, I can't keep up with them. Fan favorite, Iisha Morrison with 2 eyes. Make sure you get that part right. All right, coming up on the show, the very latest for the Cowboys and their search for a new DC. The NFL coaching carousel continues around the league, and could there be a potential problem ahead with the George Pickens deal? Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. We'll get into that. But Marcus, want to start with you. Welcome back. Hope you had a good weekend. And so the DC search continues. This week we're in round 2, in-person interviews. What do you know? What can you tell us?
First of all, we should mention that the Cowboys aren't the only team that has a defensive coordinator opening right now. And I know this feels like it's a drawn-out process, but there's literally teams right now that are losing their defensive coordinator, and they're going to have to start their search in the next couple of weeks, whether that's like the 49ers who just lost Robert Saleh. I expect the Chargers to lose Jesse Minter. So don't get too worked up here that the Cowboys don't have a coordinator in place. It'll happen. You want to make sure you get the right guy because there's nothing worse than rushing this process just to have a guy in time for the Senior Bowl. And then you get to, the practices and you realize that you have the wrong guy. I think that's what happened to Dallas last year.
Ouch.
As of right now, you've got Jonathan Gannon, who had an interview today. Sounds like that's a potential option. Still think the Cowboys are holding out for Jim Leonard in Denver. They're going to have to wait at least another week as the Broncos have advanced to the AFC Championship game. And then we've got some other names, including Durante Jones of the Minnesota Vikings, who I know is somebody that's really impressed them. I don't think they've made any decisions. I don't think there's necessarily a front runner yet, but it does feel like we're inching closer to a decision.
Yeah, I mean, Minter is an interesting name for me too. We got to see what he's done with that Chargers defense down there. So I'm cool with them kind of, waiting for some of these other guys that we're expecting to not be available for them to talk to them. But, is it Durante? Did you say Durante Jones? Is that the name?
Durante Jones, yep.
Yes. I saw a video of him just kind of talking about his scheme and what he expects and stuff. And so many of these guys feel like teachers, kind of how, Shotty is looking for. So I do think that they've cast a wide net as we talked about. And I think I just got anxiety because I don't trust them. No offense. There's so many good options that it feels like you shouldn't mess this up.
Yeah.
But I do know that fans are very, anxious about what's going on right now. The way
I'm ready for patience in this thing because I want to see some other more experienced guys. I want to hear Leslie Frazier. I want to hear Terrell Austin. I want to hear Jim Schwartz. I want to hear some other guys that have multiple years of experience in the National Football League that know how to really coach the secondary, because I think that's the biggest problem and it's always been my biggest issue. I don't care what defense you're playing. I don't care if you're playing a 4-3, a 34, a Jack Crow 6-1 diamond. I don't give a crap. I want it coordinated correctly on the back end with what you're doing on the front end. I don't want some whiz kid drawing a bunch of crap on the back of a cocktail napkin telling me how it's going to work. I'm off of that. I want somebody who can show me, and most importantly, knows how to teach the technique. I'd be for going to see if you could get somebody like Jerry Gray from Atlanta, who's been a long time secondary guy. There's a lot of guys to me that I haven't seen come up on this search that I want to see before they pull the trigger.
Why do you hate the young guys, Stretch?
I don't hate. It's nothing about hating young guys. I don't hate young guys, but the other thing I don't do is I don't put a day one graduate from West Point in charge of a mission in Iraq. Speak on it, Iisha. You know what the deal is. I don't want to see that.
I mean, I get it. But I also think, like, I understand that you want someone that's tenured, experienced, and all those things. But then I also, on the inverse of things, we've seen guys be, still wet between behind the ears and come in and make an impact on teams. I mean, I understand coming up through the ranks and all that stuff, but if a guy's earned his shot, he's not going to earn his other shot until somebody gives him a shot. So I do think, like, every guy that is a guy that we love, somebody gave them a shot. So,
right, but I've got it.
You don't got time for that.
I've got a quarterback that's got a few years. I don't have young guys. I don't have time for the learning curve.
Can I ask you something? Marcus, Jeff, this is something I've heard people say multiple times, and this is no slight to you, Coach. Why the hell does everybody keep saying that the quarterback only has a couple years? I mean, is it contractual? Or are we talking about his physical ability? Because I don't see a quarterback, especially given the things that he's able to do from the pocket as a processor, as a field general. Those guys have tenure in the NFL. I mean, he's not running as much. He's not as physically, taxing on his body. So I don't understand why everyone feels like, I get, like I said, from the window, the contracts, all that stuff, sure. But as far as his physical ability, I don't see a quarterback that's about to be out, like, not still playing well in 3 years. I mean, is that what you see, Marcus? Is that what you see? All right.
Well,
am I misunderstanding?
No, I agree with you both, actually. I think Dak is going to be able to play well into his 30s.
Yeah.
But I think in terms of, like, him being able to play at a very, very high level that you're going to be able to win multiple playoff games with. He turns 33 in July. That's not old for a quarterback. But once you start getting to be 35, 36, 37, I know he's not mobile right now, but you start losing a little bit of that mobility. You start wanting to get hit a little bit less. You're a little bit less willing to stand in the pocket. I think 3 years is really the max that we're looking for here. But I'm kind of with Stretch here. Like, if the NFL is all about windows. And it feels very much to me like the next 2 years are the window that you have with Dak, you have with this young offensive line that's under contract. And Coach, to your point about patience, one of the reasons why you might want to be patient here is a guy like Jim Schwartz, who's interviewing for the Cleveland job. Yes. If he doesn't get the Cleveland job, he might suddenly be an option for you as a defensive coordinator job. Another example,
what about
Sean McDermott's another one.
Awesome option in Jim Schwartz as well. Like,
yeah, Raheem Morris is another one. Sean McDermott's another one.
Yeah.
Have you guys heard anything? Have you guys heard anything about any of Raheem Morris's interviews or anything? I feel like I haven't heard. I think I saw something today about his name, but I have not heard his name through the waves. I think as much as I expected to. What about you, Marcus?
No, I've heard that through the grapevine that he could be potentially somebody that goes on TV for a little bit. He's very personable. I think he would do really well. And maybe for his sake, after being a head coach for a couple of years, he wants to take a year off. He's going to have his choice of whatever defensive coordinator job he wants. We'll see. I think he's going to be really picky about this next job.
Okay.
And there was, I think, maybe an option if Shula left the Rams to get the job in Miami, but he didn't. So I don't know where that leaves Raheem Morris, but we'll see. Let me ask you guys this: refresh my Cowboys organizational memory. If does whoever the candidate end up being, do they have to interview in person this week, or could we see a bunch of people interview, but they could ultimately go with somebody else? How has it worked traditionally?
I believe if a candidate is still coaching right now, they cannot do an in-person interview. So that means you're going to have to wait on Jim Leonard. And I think Leonard, in the case, he's going to be obviously working all week for Denver. He might not be open to even a virtual meeting.
Right.
So again, this is why they're going to be patient here, because I do think they want to talk to Leonard, and maybe they want to talk to some of these other defensive guys out there that are currently under contract.
Okay. Well, we'll see. We don't. I guess we just wait and see which names that we hear from. I mean, they don't appear to be in a rush. I think to what you have all said, they want to make sure they get the right guy. I was going to ask you though about Leonard specifically. He seems. I mean, he's got a great resume. Great, from a walk-on player and the whole story. And you had mentioned that he was kind of boys with Schottenheimer. I'm wondering how much that could play into it ultimately.
Yeah, I mean, relationships are very important in the NFL. And we don't talk about this enough, that we would love for the best candidates to get hired in every spot, but that's not always the case. And that's why there's 17 Kubiaks that are interviewing for head coaching job right now, because the names do matter, right? But I mean, a lot of times that you hire people that you've either worked with before, or you work with their dad, or the family. And I think Leonard is somebody that Schottenheimer's familiar with. The only thing is, though, there's a lot of other coaches out there that are looking for defensive coordinators who are also familiar with Jim Leonard, including an in-division rival in John Harbaugh, who had him on his team back in, I believe, 2008. So we'll wait and see on Jim Leonard.
I don't know if this is I feel kind of silly even asking you, but I read something today that the question was posed: is the Cowboys defensive coordinator job not attractive, or would somebody might be hesitant because of the organizational structure? But then on the other hand, I mean, the Cowboys are the Cowboys. I mean,
Coach, I want to ask you that. What do you think? Do you think this is an attractive job for an up-and-coming defensive coordinator candidate?
I mean, if maybe for an up-and-coming guy, it's not. I mean, it's not a very good job. I mean, it's if I sat here and gave you a list of the jobs that are open right now, do you think it's a great job? It's a 500 football team with not very good talent on that side of the ball.
Can I tell you why I think it is?
Yeah, because it's going to be 70 degrees Monday after having an ice storm here this weekend. That's why.
Glenn, please.
It's currently minus 14 up here, so I feel so terrible for you.
Where you at?
It's North Pole.
You ain't got to tell me your business. My bad.
Here's why I do think it's somewhat attractive. Because if you can get this unit to be average, everybody's going to think that you did an awesome job, right?
Absolutely.
Because the expectations are so low, and you're going to have, I think, 2 first-round picks on that defense that you're going to be able to draft and mold to your defense. You have an offense that's going to take a lot of the pressure off you. So if you can get this defense to only give up 24 points a game, you create some timely turnovers, all of a sudden that coach is going to get a lot of credit. Whereas if you take another job where, let's say you take the Buffalo job and you are a top 10 defense all year, if your defense is 12th, it's going to look like you're a bad coach and that you actually took a step backward. So I do think this is an intriguing job because you can't get any worse than what it was last year.
Yeah, I think what Coach is saying too, and I agree with you too, Marcus, but I also think what Coach is saying is like the legwork that it's going to take is, more extensive than some of these other places that already have more talent and stuff like that. But kind of being able to set your, call your shot and be able to draft, and those things might be appealing. Can I ask y'all something? I was thinking about it the other day. We ain't been talking about it, and I know we talk about defensive coordinators, but I just want to know, are either one of you gentlemen shocked that Dallas is not trying to make a change at special teams coordinator? I'm gonna.
I would have been up for a new coach. I would have been up for a new special teams coordinator, but clearly they want to give Nick Sorensen
another shot.
Another shot here. Yes.
How do you
I'm
know?
only
Let
wondering
me ask you this: how do you know they're not?
how do
Because they would, I mean, I would assume that they would have been doing interviews, right? But you can't really do interviews.
Well, what are you
unless
going to do?
fire
What
coach.
about? So you're saying you think the defensive back coach is coming back?
no,
No.
I
But
guess
that's
that makes
different.
sense. But I guess that makes sense to some extent, Stretch, maybe like because the other part, I know, because that's a whole nother unit. I'm just
I mean,
asking, like, are y'all happy with special teams? And should they
I
be
mean,
looking for another coach? Are
I mean, I
they?
guess here's what I know is there's, I guess Danny Smith filled one. Well, that head job wasn't even open. So you got they're going to be special teams coordinators going everywhere. I don't know that he hasn't been told. I guess is the point I'm making. Maybe you want to look for another job. I don't know that he has been, but I don't know that he hasn't.
When does that normally happen though? Like, what would be the point in if you were going to tell him to go on somewhere? What would be the point in keeping him through this part of the process? Or tell us the timeline. How's it normally
How
work?
do you know? I guess what I'm asking is do you know he's part of the process right now?
That's my
No.
point. It's like nobody's verbalized as he is or if he's is or not. Like we've just heard the head coach, and people speak highly of him, which I think the assumption from there would be, okay, well, maybe they're gonna keep him. But I'm that's what I'm saying. Are you guys getting any whiffs that might be changed or anything?
I mean, I haven't heard anything, but again, I only go with how my experience went there, which was I wasn't initially fired. I was told during this process right here, go find yourself a job. Okay, so you clean your office out and you go explore getting another job. And I'm going to tell you that I truly believe that there are multiple guys on this staff right now who have been told, go find yourself another job. That's my belief because that's my experience and how it was handled previously, and what makes me think it hasn't been that it hasn't or has been changed.
Okay, I'm tracking. I was just being nosy because it was something I was thinking about, and I was like, has anyone heard anything? Especially given if we're talking about the defensive performance. I mean, the special teams unit, I expected for the special teams unit to take a drop because you lost guys in free agency and stuff that were intricate. There was injuries. And then also, too, you lost Bones, who was one of the best in the business. Like John Fossil helped create a lot of the rules. I mean, he's the one that really sought out your all-pro kicker and your returner. I mean, this guy understands special teams. So I thought that you would take a drop in, not having him. But it wasn't good this year. Like, it wasn't good this year. So I'm just numbers wise, it looks like it kind of was, but I don't think it was. What do you think, Marcus, about special teams? And sorry,
it was bad.
I'm not trying to take it anywhere else. I'm just
it was bad. Bones Fossil's a free agent. I would be calling him, seeing if he enjoyed his time in the Dallas area. But again, maybe he wants to stay in Tennessee. Maybe he wants to link up with Robert Saleh. We'll see.
Okay, fingers crossed.
Coach, real quick, do you have any good interview process memories from yourself back in the day? Like what are the interviews like? What really goes on? Is it?
Yeah.
Well, they normally bring guys in, and then you've got, at that time there was Jerry, Stephen, the offensive coordinator, one or two of the position coaches on the offensive side. And at that time, it was Larry Lacewell who was involved in the personnel side. They pick your brain. They want to know what you think about the personnel that they have. And then they're going to get up and they're going to ask you to get up on the board. And they're going to tell you, or they're going to ask you what you like to do. At the time, I was working with the tight ends. What do you like to do from a run game standpoint? What do you believe in from a passing game standpoint? How is it that you run a 6-man protection versus an over front versus a 34 front versus an Okie front? I mean, they put you through the gauntlet of being able to have, confidence in a meeting room, because ultimately that's what you're going to have to do once the breakout process happens in an offensive staff meeting. You have to go then run your meeting room, and they want to see how that would be. They want to see what your retention is like. They might say, if you draw up a 6-man protection or 7-man protection, they might say, what are your thoughts about bringing the center or the guard uncovered out of the core of the protection? If they do, what are your thoughts to 4-week? How do you like the hot adjust? I mean, all of the things that you would go through from a schematical standpoint, and then they're going to probably tell you a few things, and then they're going to say, okay, now here's how we run this scat protection. Here's how we want to read this. Now tell us what you do versus this. And then they want to see how you retain, how you grasp the retention, and how can you put it up there. So I don't think that process has changed a whole lot. I think guys still come in and they put guys on the board and get familiarity with what you have. The key for me has always been, and you know, all I have as my point of reference is, how do you teach? What is it that you teach? And are you able to teach that to young people today? Are you able to get them to understand? I mean, I'll give you the Miami game last night. I mean, the Miami receiver runs a hitch route, and the first thing he does, stand straight up. Well, hell, that Pons kid punches him right in the chest. I mean, he just shows him his number. I mean, like, everything that I would say about running a hitch was almost like opposite of what was done in that scenario. You got to run with your shoulders over your toes. You can't show them your numbers, blah, 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 right? So all the things that you want to teach to me are so very important. And I think that's what today's game is missing a little bit, is teaching the finer points. I get it. You want somebody that's got great schemes, and I get it. You want somebody that, you know, is going to bring certain blitzes and do all that, but you've got to be able to teach and to tell guys what it is that you want them to do. And I think that's the part that's being forgotten.
All right. Great answer, Coach. Appreciate that. Great insight. And we will continue to wait, hurry up and wait, and we'll watch how the process unfolds. The good news is we have 2 shows during the week, and Marcus and Landon, you got ears every day. And as I said, Iisha, you're all over the place. So we will have you covered as they determine who they want to pick for their new defensive coordinator. All right, when we come back, get a little interesting George Pickens update, and also want to get your thoughts on a couple of other moves and a criticism I saw of Jerry Jones that has nothing to do with this. We'll do that when we come back. This is the Cowboys Squad Show. All right, I want to talk to you about Indeed, because if you've ever hired someone who looked good on paper but wasn't the right fit, you know how important that is. When you want candidates who truly match what you're looking for, trust Indeed sponsored jobs. Hiring? Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other sites. Indeed sponsored jobs put your post at the top of the page and help you reach the right candidates faster. Now, couple of highlights that they do. Number one, instead of, kind of struggling to get your job seen by people, right? Indeed sponsored jobs helps you list and helps your listing stand out and reach quality candidates faster. And they have this sponsored jobs boost, which to your post, it gets it to the people who are the best match for your role. And that really makes a difference. And then according to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed are 90% more likely to report a hire than non-sponsored jobs. So spend more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with less stress, less time, and more results using Indeed sponsored jobs. Listeners of this show get a $75 sponsored job credit to help give you your job the premium placement it deserves at Indeed.com/LockedOnNFL. Just go to Indeed.com/LockedOnNFL right now and support the show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. And we need to talk a little bit also about Robinhood and what they've got going on there, because with Robinhood, what if sports were traded like markets? Now you can put your sports IQ to work in real time with Robinhood prediction markets. Now, it's not you against the house. It's you participating in a live market. You can buy or sell your positions live all game long. Use your sports knowledge in the moments that matter. Robinhood prediction markets changes the game. It's people moving the action. So when the momentum shifts, you can move with it. Now, you know the game, but maybe you never had a dynamic way to apply that knowledge, right? Well, now you can. You can actually take part in it live in a market powered by people. You're no longer just a spectator, play-by-play, you decide. So take every play with Robinhood, trade every play with Robinhood, now available across the U.S. Download the Robinhood app now to begin. Futures and cleared swaps trading involves significant risk and is not appropriate for everyone. Event contacts are offered by Robinhood LLC, a registered futures commission merchant and swap firm. All right, we're back. Cowboy Squad Show. Marcus Mosher, Coach Glenn Stretch Smith, and Iisha Morrison with two eyes. Real quick, Iisha, I heard one of your other shows, and when you were talking about the defensive coordinator search, you said, I think the word you used was intricate.
Mhm.
What do you mean by that? Break that down for us.
I mean, I think I'm saying exactly what Coach is saying is that, I really want, I don't know how many times this year, we saw guys like, and Marcus, maybe you can attest to this, where it's like technique look weird with guys that haven't had problem with like technique. It was just odd. And furthermore, too, I want someone that is intricate and is very into the details, because that offenses are these days. I mean, there's so many things going on within these different offensive schemes and stuff. I want someone that really cares about the matchup game. I want a competitor. I don't want nobody just going to sit up there and we're going to run this scheme and this is what we're going to do. No, I want a game planner, someone that cares. I mean, I call them clipboard warriors. No offense, Coach. But clipboard warriors, hey, sometimes they win you games. They lose you games. And I want someone that gives a damn about the game to game and not just what they stand on. So I basically have been saying what Coach is saying. It's like details. I can't cuss. Give a crap. Like, for real, I can't cuss on her. But yeah, that's really the gist of what I was saying on the show.
Okay, right on. Well said. We'll see, as we mentioned. We talked a little bit last week, guys, about George Pickens and his looming contract, right? Well, ESPN's Jeremy Fowler, for whatever that's worth, says the Cowboys are expected to franchise tag Pickens, which would pay him around $28 million next season. But Pickens will want a long-term deal above that number. And if Dallas doesn't give it to him, some around the league wonder if he'll stay away from training camp. And we kind of hit on that. What do you think of that? And do you think that they can get something done and avoid any of this before we get to that point?
Marcus, I know Marcus is itching. He's ready to go.
Because it's just regurgitated news that we've been talking about for 3 months now. And because
Facts.
the ESPN person says this isn't a shot at you, Jeff, because this is just the way that it is. Suddenly it's big news. But no, I mean, we've known for months now that the Cowboys' plan was to franchise George Pickens. That doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to play on the tag. That's just a placeholder. So he doesn't hit free agency in March. I think they're going to be talking all summer long. Hopefully this doesn't drag into training camp, because you want him on the field in mini camps and OTAs. I think both sides are motivated to get a deal done. I don't think they want to go through the same thing they did with Micah last offseason. So I get, Jeff, I'm sorry. It's just,
it's okay.
There's no real difference in terms of news from what we've heard for the last 3 months here.
Let me just say this, Iisha, real quick. But I think because of what happened with Micah and the fact that they have the same agent, I think it's fair game to bring it up that,
100%. But real quick,
Yeah.
There is a difference between Micah and George Pickens as players and as prospects, because Micah Parsons was a multi-time first team all-pro edge rusher who was never available right over the last 4 years, who suddenly became available late into training camp right before the season, whereas George Pickens was just available for trade 12 months ago. The Steelers were trying to trade him like crazy to the entire league at this time last year, and nobody was interested outside of the Cowboys. That's where I think David Mulligetta knew that he had leverage, because Micah would have been, every team wants a Micah Parsons. I'm not so sure that every team is going to be interested in paying George Pickens that type of money.
I mean, I don't have anything to say. I know we've already talked about like them franchise tagging him and just how that looks and things like that. I hope it goes well. One thing I will say from being boots on ground and being around here, man, the OC, and what I mean by OC is Clayton Adams, play caller, quarterback, very much so are adamant about this person being on this team. And if we're talking about windows, go ahead. Sorry.
Do you think the team felt the same about Micah last year?
You messy.
Well, I mean, I'm just asking because you are right on Pickens. I think CeeDee Lamb loves him. Dak Prescott loves him. Clearly, the coaching staff does as well. I'm not so sure there was a consensus to make sure that Micah is back next year, back the following year. And
it's gonna be it was a mixed bag.
I think
that's all I'm gonna say. It was a mixed bag.
And I think that's what's ultimately going to be the reason why Pickens is back and why Micah's playing in Green Bay.
What do you think, Coach?
I mean, I think opinions change often. I think guys want certain players to buy in and to be all in to the process. And I think when guys start to, kind of, I don't want to say, kind of waffle in the process, then I think people's opinions really change. George Pickens is a hell of a football player. I mean, there's no question about that. But you got to, at some point, guys have to fit in to a team mentality. I don't think people talk enough about Tom Brady could have certainly got more money through free agency had he gone somewhere else. But he so wanted that football team to be a dynasty that he took less and he sacrificed a lot from a financial standpoint. And it's just, I don't want to say guys aren't that way, but it's hard to find guys that are that way.
I mean, I think it also too is contingent on like what else they got going on outside of football. Hear me out. And I mean, guys, I'm not the person to talk about a player's money or tell them to take less or anything like that. What I'm saying is that, Tom taking less, yes, I thought it was admirable and things like that, but he also had things going outside of football as well, where he also had flexible income in that sense. So I think it's contingent.
You used to, at least, yes.
Used to. You messy, Mark.
That's right. Well, Coach, I want to ask you this quick question. When you were, I know you weren't in charge of, personnel moves and stuff, but whenever a guy became available, isn't the first thing that these front office do is they go back to their pre-draft scouting reports and kind of check in on what grade they gave the player, some of the background stuff. And I think when a lot of people come back to George Pickens, if he ever were to become a free agent, that's the first thing they were going to do. And we remember at the time, there were a lot of teams that had George Pickens off their draft boards. I don't think suddenly things are going to change where you feel comfortable giving that guy $38 million a year unless you had him in your building.
So you don't think that a player can like flip the script. You think what they are coming out in the draft is what they will continue to be. Like,
no, you can.
The room to grow.
You can, but I think it has to be in the situation like it's happened with Dallas, where it's you're coming here on a cheap 1-year deal. You proved yourself, and now we give you a deal. I just have a hard time. And Coach, I really want you to talk about this.
Yeah, definitely.
No, you're good. how much do you rely on those pre-draft evaluations when it comes to free agency and trades?
I mean, they're going to go back and look at that. They're going to go back and look at all the information that they have gathered. They're going to go back and say, I mean, that's why it's so important, when these guys go to the combine and different teams interview them. I mean, that interview leaves a lasting impression for a long time. And I think that's very important. I think, do guys go in and look up scouting reports and look at what was said and look at what the area guys said? And absolutely they do. So is it done? Yes. How much credence is put into that? How much do they really, how much do they buy into, let's say, off the field stuff versus what you've seen on tape? I hope not a lot, but certainly they do. I mean, I have a million stories about things that Jason Garrett's dad used to come in and say, and, and write down on reports. And hey, all of that goes into the making of putting the puzzle together. Is it a bigger piece? Is it a smaller piece? It's depends on how, Will McClay and those guys see those things, is if they're really feel strong about, taking a guy and really standing on the table for a guy. And it's hard for people to do, because guess what? If you do it and you're wrong, you get run out of there. I mean, that's part of it. So it's a very teeter-totter process.
All right. When we come back, we will pick it up with Pickens. One final thought, and then a couple other things I want to run by you as well, including, one thing we haven't talked about at all is the Cowboys' schedule for next season, who they're going to play. I know that's not urgent right now, but we'll get into that. And also want to ask you about a different Cowboys receiver who received some praise today. We'll do that when we come back. This is the Cowboys Squad Show. All right, I want to talk to you about Drip Drop, because kicking off the year feeling good is the goal, right? And honestly, hydration is the easiest win. Now, when you stay on top of it, your energy, focus, and mood all level up. But let's be real, plain water doesn't always cut it, especially when you're grinding through long days, hitting the gym, or just trying to stay consistent with your health goals. That's why and where Drip Drop comes in. Doctor-developed, proven fast hydration that helps your body and mind work better. You think clearer, focus, better energy, elevated mood, and even that fresh skin glow. Now, the cool thing about Drip Drop is that it uses a precise ratio of electrolytes and glucose for rapid absorption, and it delivers 3 times the electrolytes and half the sugar of leading sports drinks. You don't want the sugar there. And it tastes amazing. There are 16 original flavors and 8 zero sugar options for you to choose from. So right now, Drip Drop is offering podcast listeners 20% off your first order. Go to dripdrop.com and use promo code LOCKEDONNFL. That's dripdrop.com, promo code LOCKEDONNFL for 20% off. Stock up right now at dripdrop.com and use promo code LOCKEDONNFL. All right, we're back. Cowboys Squad Show. One final thought. We'll move on from Pickens. I said this. I just want to go on record. I hope I'm wrong. I'm not trying to damper the mood, but I mean, we see how this works. His agent's goal is to get him the most money possible. And I guarantee you, despite what we may think, and I guarantee you, Pickens and his agent feel like they had a great season and put up the numbers, and that they're at a certain level with other wide receivers, and they want to be paid accordingly. Now, whether or not that's going to fit with the Cowboys, we'll see. But I'm just saying, just, as a shield, just keep your guard up, because that's usually how it works. I'm hoping I'm wrong.
Well,
I hope everything works out happily.
Let me ask you this, Jeff. You're not wrong. I mean, the goal of an agent is to get their client the most money possible, right? Shout out to my agent, Jamie. He does a great job.
Marcus.
But is the goal? I know. Is the goal to get him the most money in 2026, or is the goal for him to make the most money over the course of his career? Because I do think that matters, and I think what you could potentially see here is a short-term deal, maybe a 2-year deal that matches up with the kind of the remainder of Dak Prescott's prime. Allow him to hit free agency again, and let's say 2028 when he's 27 years old, and get another massive payday. I wouldn't be surprised if that's ultimately how this plays out.
Yeah, I think the franchise tag is safe for both sides. I mean, I would think it would be smart for both sides for exactly what Marcus was talking about. It gives you more time to negotiate. It gives you more time to figure things out. And also too, with the franchise tag, he's probably going to be making close to, what he probably deserves. I mean, when Dallas has franchise tag players, they typically pay them about what the market says. I mean, even Tony Pollard, I remember the other year got with the 10 mil, and everybody was looking like, what's going on here? But that's what the market called for. So when Dallas has used the franchise tag, I don't like seeing it. I know players hate it and stuff, but from my understanding, it has been pretty within the numbers, like on par with what they should be getting paid.
Well,
I think it's safe. I mean, I think it's good. I think the franchise tag will work right now for both sides.
and that's why, Iisha, I will not be surprised. So the number this year at the franchise tag is 28 million, right? And if you give him another franchise tag in 2027, it would be roughly like 32 million. Let's just go with those numbers. Would it be surprising to see the Cowboys give Pickens a 2-year, $65 million deal with 95% of that guaranteed? Not at all, because it's basically the equivalent of 2 franchise tags. You're just getting the deal done and adding an extra year on top of that. And again, Pickens is so young that he could hit the market again at age 27 and get him. And again, if he's on his best behavior, if he puts up 2 big seasons, that's 3 great years in a row. And now you're talking about being the highest paid receiver in the NFL once the new TV money comes in. So suddenly, instead of taking a long-term deal now where you're getting paid, let's say an average of $30 million a year, $32 million a year, if you wait 2 years, you might be able to get a deal that's averaging $45 million a year with the way that inflation goes up. So I think David Mulligetta is going to play this thing pretty close to the vest, but don't be surprised if he's back on a short-term deal.
Okay. So are you saying this year and 2 more years? Is that
No,
kind of your thinking?
I'm thinking this year, 2026, and then 2027, and then he hits free agency again in 2028 with no franchise tags or anything like that, where he probably would be the top receiver on the market.
On parallel with the quarterback in his prime years?
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
Today's
think of-
wardrobe was provided by hoodie provided by New Era.
I think that makes sense for the Cowboys, right? Line everything up to really go forward in this window.
Exactly
And
right.
then if you miss it, that's fine. You're completely you're rebuilding this team. You don't care about Pickens moving on in 2028.
Correct. You're gonna probably hit the reset button in anyway, right?
Yeah, hopefully you've developed somebody else in that time too. So yeah.
Malachi Tony's going to look great in a Cowboy uniform. Can't wait.
Well, speaking of receivers, how about PFF naming Ryan Flournoy the underrated impact player, or one of them? I mean, I kind of felt like it just not just with him, but I felt like with the Cowboys offense, I felt like there's a lot more there that we didn't get to see. It felt like they were still just most of the season still trying to kind of figure everything out, and they never really became to me they had moments, but I mean just a complete on the same page, dominant, in control offense that I think they're capable of, and I'm hoping that we'll see that in year number 2.
First of all, good article by Pro Football Focus. They only hire the smartest people out there. They do incredible work. Yeah, wink, wink. Yeah, I mean, I think Flournoy's development. I worked at PFF for a while, in case you guys didn't know. I think Ryan Flournoy's development was a really big bright spot for the Cowboys this year.
Absolutely.
So much so that someone like Jalen Tolbert, who had 500 yards in 2024, you're not even thinking about re-signing him in free agency. You're not even thinking about the whiff of Jonathan Mingo in the trade, because Flournoy exceeded all expectations. And if something were to happen with Pickens where you have to move on or you trade him, and you go into the season with CeeDee Lamb and Ryan Flournoy, you don't suddenly feel like you're the Buffalo Bills and have no weapons. You feel pretty good about where you're at wide receiver. I think Flournoy's development was one of the cooler things for the Cowboys this season.
Well, I totally agree. It was fun just seeing him battle. I don't know if you guys remember, he was one of the last guys to make that 53, battled his tail off during preseason. The work that he does on special teams, the work that he does as an outside blocker, being involved in the run game. And just when you talk about with the Cowboys offense with CeeDee Lamb and Pickens, just imagine how stressful it is because that's the thing that I took from him this year is that he was just reliable. He was just there, and when people are trying to shade coverage and trying to do all this other stuff, having another guy that can win on his own and that can also too sit in zones and has yak ability. How stressing does that have to be for a defense that it's like, yeah, sure, we could cover CD and Pickens perfectly, but this guy right here, Flournoy, he's going to kill you on third down because he's just in the right place at the right time, and he's pretty sure-handed for the most part. So I agree with you, Marcus. I think that his development has been awesome. I've enjoyed it because I feel like seeing a guy like him, that's what football's about to me. Yeah. Is seeing a guy battle his tail off, push other guys off of a cliff, and not only do that, but be reliable through the season. Now, I think you took a little too far. I don't know if I'm ready to see him in a number 2 role.
Not yet.
But we'll see what this year looks like, how much of a step he takes. And, they used him on some jet sweeps and end arounds and stuff. I mean, I agree with Jeff. I do think that there's parts of this offense that they haven't gotten to unlock. And a lot of it had to do, to me, with the run game.
Yeah. Yeah.
What you got, Coach?
Nothing.
He just scratches his butt over
Scratching your ass.
Look at that face by Stretch, just stone cold, nothing. It is cold there in Dallas. He's probably
Is that a joke? Is that a joke or something? Y'all be talking about him scratching his ass
all the time.
That's out of the coach.
Because that's what about 3/4 of these people on this show do: sit around and scratch your ass.
Stretch.
He crazy.
But back to what you were saying, I felt like his season and the way that he progressed over the season and the way that he finished the season were truly one of the bright spots. But, remember during training camp, Shotty was talking about using Hunter Lipke a lot more. It didn't really feel there a couple games, but really, I don't know. Like I don't know how else to articulate it other than I feel like there's a lot more to this offense than what we saw this season, that they can do even better and be more dominant.
Do you all have any questions about that, Coach? Like, they signed Lipke. I thought that his role would increase in certain ways, especially with Dallas like needing a second runner in certain times. He's shown you some of what he can do in the receiving game. I was surprised at his usage this year. And again, I know a lot of the work he was doing was like extra offensive lineman type stuff, but were either one of y'all like disappointed in the output from him this year in his usage?
I was. I thought when they signed him to a deal before the season, we were going to see him used in more in that H-back role, either catching passes out of the backfield as a short yardage runner. And we got to like Thanksgiving, and I think he had 6 touches up to that point. So, yeah, I think we were sold a bill of goods that he was going to be this, impactful player. Wasn't the case. And I think they got to decide, is there a spot on this team for a fullback? If the answer is no, move on from Lipke, because roster spots are too valuable to have a guy that doesn't get touches on offense, isn't playing on third downs, and there's really only a special teamer.
Yeah.
Right, but was he a good special teamer? I mean, we've already talked about that. Here's the thing is that guy has to be – whoever that guy is, he has to be a demon on special teams. The special teams weren't very good this year. We talked about the coaching side of it. Or the personnel side of it, I think, is an issue too.
Yeah.
So was he really as productive in those, 10, 12 snaps of the football game? Because the other 6 or 8 snaps that he got in the game, he showed you he got run over twice in pass protection that I can remember. He fumbled the ball once down on a short yardage in a goal line situation. Is he really physical enough to be a lead guy? Because I like if you're going to continue to play blue, I think Blue would be really good in a lead situation where he's got a fullback up in front of him to lead it in there.
Mhm.
So I think there's some. I think you got to take into mind all of the where he played, but certainly if you look at his production, throughout the year this year, did you get what you felt like you should have got in a bang for the buck scenario?
I don't
No.
think you could feel like that. I mean, and honestly, that's kind of been, unfortunately, his career is, he was one of the highest paid. I remember the cover in the draft in which he came out of. He's one of the highest paid undrafted free agents that the Cowboys paid in the NFL, period. And, it was the usage with him with the McCarthy regime was the same. And so it's just like, well, what is this guy? And I'm trying to figure out if this is like coach's decisions or this ability. Because I don't think that this kid is not a smart kid. I'm saying, but it's like you said, coach, is he physical enough to go in there and really lead block consistently for you? What is he? Do you want to use him as a running back or what do you want to do? And then you're giving him touches randomly. He's freaking cold. He's not in a rhythm at all. And then you just like, oh yeah, here, huge third down. Here's the ball. I know guys have to be ready, but it's like, I don't know what's going on with him. I'm very curious, especially hearing, Marcus, like we heard Schottenheimer speak so highly of him, but like before the season started, I just don't understand it. Like, because Mike McCarthy did the same thing. Love Hunter Lipke, love how he works, love it. And then
That's
you
a
don't
pretty good
see.
Mike McCarthy
That's
impression.
good. I like that.
Oh yeah, I've been working on it.
Marcus, what's the big guy's name for the Chargers that plays fullback?
They only got a couple of them.
A big 44 though.
Matlock.
Yeah, like how would you, just right off the top of your head, how would you compare those two guys?
Well, Matlock's about 65 pounds heavier.
Big dude.
He's
I
a
understand.
much better blocker.
I'm not talking about measurables.
Like ability.
I'm talking about production.
Matlock doesn't get any carries, doesn't catch the ball, but he's a better player.
And do they get more out of him from a special team standpoint?
Different, right? He's not on like kick coverage or anything like that, but he's on the field goal units and on block units. It's different, but similar.
What about Juszczyk?
Much better player, but worse blocker than Lipke, but a better overall player.
Because they move him all over the offense.
Correct.
I mean,
Correct.
he's all over the place. So, I mean, when the coaches talk about how smart he is I guess my question is, are they using him to the best of his tools? Are they moving him? Are they getting him in position to be successful? Or, do they have other calls that they like better than say, getting him the ball in certain situations where in San Francisco, they're trying to get the ball in his hands.
All right.
Sorry to bother you.
No. I want to know what y'all thinking because I was sitting up here looking at it all season like, dang, I mean, you already have you in a running back crisis, low key, behind you. You literally had somebody come from practice squad that you had released to come run the ball for you. And you have literally another running back on your roster. Like, yes, this gentleman Lipke does do fullback things, but that baby is a running back. So
yeah, I don't think he had one like
the fact that we did not see him more after you literally went out to sign another guy. I don't know what's going on. I can't wait to find out more. What is this?
Thank you, Iisha, Coach Marcus. We'll leave that there for now. We'll take our final timeout, and when we come back, some final thoughts as we wrap it up, including look at the schedule a little bit, but also I want to ask you a quarterback question. We'll do that coming back. This is the Cowboys Squad Show. And this episode is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel is officially in playoff mode. Every game during the NFL playoffs, FanDuel is giving customers even more ways to get in on the action. Because right now, every NFL playoff game day, FanDuel users get a profit boost pack waiting for them inside the app. Each game day, you'll see a pack loaded with multiple profit boosts. You can apply to the bets that you like the most. And here's what you do. You open your profit boost pack first thing on game day, and you see what boosts you want to apply. And the cool thing about the boosts, they let you lean into your game day instincts. And whether you're backing momentum, defense, quarterback, player, coaching, the boosts give you more juice on the bets that you already like instead of forcing you to bet something new. Every play feels bigger, and the boosts make your bets feel that way too. So you make your picks, apply the profit boosts to go after even bigger payouts while the playoffs are rolling. So visit FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day. Okay, final segment here on the Cowboys Squad Show. Marcus, what can we look forward to on the daily Locked On Cowboys podcast? And man, I've noticed this week, and with all this going on, you guys are getting a lot of comments, a lot of feedback on your shows.
Well, that's partly because Cowboy fans are angry and they're watching these playoff games and they're wishing that their team was in it. Yeah. And I don't blame them at all. But we've got a busy week of shows, including how the Cowboys can rebuild this team outside of just fixing their defense. There are a couple of things on offense that they've got to improve if they want to take the next step as a franchise. So be on the lookout for that on Wednesday. And then we've got some draft shows for you guys later in the week. We're already diving into prospects. We've got the East-West Shrine Bowl practices that start later in the week. We've got the Senior Bowl next week. We're going to get you ready for those big events in which the Cowboys have coaching staffs at both games. We'll get you ready for a very important week of all-star practices this week and next week.
Yeah. Gonna be boots on the ground for the Shrine, by the way. So
there you go.
What was the consensus, Marcus? You guys had a show about, I'm paraphrasing, biggest need, D lineman or corner.
The general belief is that the Cowboys have a bigger need for a star on the defensive end, because you can play right now as Uraku and James Houston and some of your defensive tackles. You can move those guys around. With corner, you need depth. I mean, your best corner, Deron Bland, is coming off a major foot injury. Savon Ravel coming off a torn ACL. Kalen Carson was a healthy scratch. You just need healthy bodies in the secondary, whereas I think defensive end, you don't necessarily need numbers. You need an impact player. We'll see the Cowboys go out and get one this offseason.
All right. I like that. Good stuff. All right. Be sure and check out Marcus and Landon on the daily Cowboys podcast, Locked On Cowboys podcast. Landon will be back with us on Thursday night, a couple of nights from now. One of the things I wanted to mention that, we've talked a little bit about Joe Milton and what we thought. He didn't play a lot except for that final game. But according to different reports, it sounds like they're expected to bring Milton back as the backup. What do you think?
That's what I thought. Y'all was saying that they wasn't gonna do it, but I thought they would.
Stretch, you want me to comment, or do you want to go?
I know that you feel like you can upgrade, but I
would keep the guy. I think you need to see where you're at. I get it. He's got a big arm talent and all that. I think you got to decide if he's the guy that can process and get the ball out quicker. It's hard to say and have a firm opinion when I don't have anything other than a half of football to look at. It's probably not fair for me to comment one way or the other. But I do know this: in every situation, and if you don't look at what's going on in Denver, if you haven't looked at what was happening in San Francisco, you better have a good two, and you better have a good two that can play multiple games for you. And if you don't, and you're not looking at that position, you're probably wrong.
He's going to be back because he's under contract and he's got 2 years left, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're looking elsewhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
You think they're gonna? Do you think they're gonna spend a late draft pick for quarterback?
I'm starting to watch some film a little bit. Kind of like.
I ain't trying to start nothing. I'm just asking.
No, I kind of like Coach's kid from Baylor a little bit. I think he was a little early on this Robertson kid. I don't think he's necessarily wrong. It would be the first time he's right?
What's the name?
It'll be the second time I'll tell you. Sorry to bother you tonight.
What's the name?
Sawyer Robertson, who's going to be at the Senior Bowl.
Okay.
I don't know if he's a starting quarterback in the NFL, but he's got something.
All right. Well, we look forward to that. Are you guys actually going to go to Alabama?
I might be. I think so.
It's too hot for me, Jeff. I'm going to stay up here in the igloo.
Marcus, you can't go to there.
No, it's all right. We'll be watching. We'll be covering you here on the Locked On Cowboys podcast. Make sure you check us out every single day.
What you been did, Marcus?
I know.
I can see you down there in a pair of short longs galloping around trying to
It'd be too hot. Way too hot. Listen, I'm like a polar bear, man.
Well, that's what I mean. You get them short longs that clip you about mid calf. I can see you. I can see you down there.
Y'all are sick. Put your legs away, Marcus.
I know. Nobody wants to see that.
All right. Well, Iisha, real quick before we go, what shows do you got coming up that we can plug?
Yeah. I will be on the Stack with Crown Global Media, talking draft content on Thursday. Our show airs at 3 p.m. Today we kind of talk some matchups with cornerbacks, some of the top cornerbacks, some of the top wide receivers. That was a really dope conversation we had today. I will be on Girls Talk, Boys Talk this Thursday at 9 a.m. Central on DallasCowboys.com. We'll have our show on Thursday because Monday was a holiday. And and I'm gonna be back here with y'all on Thursday. So like you said, lady is busy here. Lady is busy. I'm also in scouting school, so pray my strength in the Lord.
Wow.
Pray my strength.
I didn't know there was a scouting school.
Dan Hatman,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, there's this really dope. Yes, Dan Hatman, Lewis Riddick. They have a scouting academy that breaks down, really teaches you how to watch film, how to understand positions, like how Coach was talking about earlier about technique, things like that. Y'all know that I'm still a Nugget. So I decided to take this college level course because what it is, and get better for everybody, get better for the audience, get better for myself. So I'm loving it so far. So yeah,
I was part of the very first class back in like 2013. So it's a really cool program.
Really?
Yeah.
Give me your notes.
Would you graduate magna cum laude?
If I knew what that meant, I would say yes, but no, I didn't. I'm just joking.
Marcus,
it was fun.
give me your notes. Give me your notes.
No, I'm not going to cheat, but yeah, it's a good time. I highly recommend it to anybody that wants to get a deeper knowledge of the NFL.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's right up my alley. I would love that. That would be great. I'll have to look into that. All right, guys. Hey, great show. Thank you for being available here on a Tuesday night, and we'll do it again on Thursday night. But Iisha, Marcus will be looking for you guys. Coach, thank you. Keep up the good work on the radio, and we'll talk again on Thursday as the Cowboys offseason continues. This has been the Cowboys Squad Show.